Okay, we got a 2008 GMC Acadia here, and we're going to be replacing the thermostat on this today. And of course, we're going to have to replace the gaskets. Rule of thumb, anytime you disturb something, it is going to leak. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. Okay, now before I forget, also when this came in, it's overheating really fast. Another issue it had was a cylinder 5 misfire, which I'm going to show you what I found out on that as well. Okay, very first thing, we're going to remove these little push pins that are holding this piece, and some of them's missing. I'm sure there's other pieces missing, but anyways, we're going to pop these up, and we'll get that out of the way first. Alright, so there's one. We'll just go ahead and get all the rest of them here. Okay, so we're ready to go ahead and get this out of the way. Now you can actually see the radiator cap over here. We're going to focus on removing this air box. Now there will be a safety lock on the underside of this, and you have to pull that back, and then you'll just push down and pop that off. So this one has been removed. There'll be a red safety lock. You have to push that back far enough that you can push that down, but you just can't see it from the top side. Okay, and right here is another problem. This is like broken, so you got a vacuum leak there. So I'm gonna have to see if I've got another one of these, or we'll just have to shorten it up a little bit. But anyways, just pop that out of there. We're gonna loosen this band up right here, this 8mm. Okay, you can pull this loose, and don't go to yanking on it because we got a bolt over here, 10mm. Okay, so right down in this corner. That's way tighter than it should be. Alright, so I'll finish getting that out of there. Okay, so there's that long bolt. Okay, and I went ahead and loosened this band. I'm going to pop this piece out. At least that's the idea. And the best I remember, this is still pretty tricky to remove, and it's easy to go to breaking things if you ain't careful. I'm just popping it out of those rubber grommets there. Okay, so I've got another bolt down here or something. Let me take a look. Okay, so it's all coming back to me. This piece is like riveted to this box, and then there's a bolt down there on the underneath side of this, like a 10mm or something going to the frame. Now why this is that way, I don't know, but it makes it very difficult to remove. So I'm gonna have to work on getting under here and getting that bolt out, and before it's gonna release. Otherwise, if you go to yanking on it, it's just gonna break it loose from the box, and you're gonna have to fix it there. It's just attached, and I have seen them where they're broke, but I just took and sealed off the crack with some HVAC tape and called it good. Okay, stand correct. I actually popped that off of a grommet down there with a screwdriver. I'm going to go ahead and remove the Torx that are holding this top part and see if it makes it any easier. Okay, so we're going to take this T25 and just remove the top part of this box. Okay, so now I can go ahead and remove the top of this. Air filter doesn't look bad. Right now everything is loose, but this is all a really tight fit down in here still, and I'm gonna just have to find that magic combination which way to turn it to get it out of here without breaking anything. So we got a cable run into it here for this hood latch, I believe. Just squeeze on these tabs and push that back through. You realize that was on there. Okay, so I'm gonna work on this a minute. Okay, I realize I'm doing this the hard way. What I need to do is push these tabs and push this piece right here. It's got 4 tabs going around. I need to push these tabs and push this long piece of duct back through here. Okay, that wasn't actually going to work either because it's riveted. This piece is riveted on and it's connected to that piece, but I did figure out how to maneuver it to get it out of there. Basically, I popped this purge valve line loose and was able to kind of just bring it up that way at an angle. So now we got it out of here. We got a lot of room to work. We'll just set that aside. Okay, we're going to get us a pan underneath. We're going to be taking this hose loose up here and just pushing it down, and we're going to have a pan right underneath down there to catch this. It's way harder to take loose at the radiator there. If you do get to it and get it off there, put a screw clamp on it and kind of angle it to where it's easy to get to. If you do these right, they'll actually lock. You really need a pair of pliers made for these. Well, mine's not gonna lock, I guess. Alright, so I'm gonna get a screwdriver here. Okay, so I'm just gonna start here pushing, and don't expect it to come off easily. Now you can get a corner loose and spray a little spray lubricant under there if it's like really bad, and that will kind of help it, but you just got to get that seal broke loose. It's just kind of heat glued itself. And I got the pan under there, and we're just gonna push this hose down here. Slowly. Okay, well that definitely tells us we got a problem here. There's no coolant coming back through here. Okay, so we're just gonna push this over here out of the way. Wasn't much coolant even come out. Okay, so here we have our thermostat housing. So we got that hose loose. Now these here are just the clip style and pretty easy to remove. You just squeeze these tabs. Looks like these have even possibly been replaced before, but you just push on them and pull it up there. I'm gonna get, I'm not sure. I think I need to get another pan at the back there. I don't know where this coolant's gonna go before I start popping those off. Okay, so here we go. Hopefully this doesn't splash back. Yeah, it helps if you kind of push down, squeeze, and then pull up again. This will probably, okay, this is dry too. There's absolutely no coolant getting through here. Okay, let's get this back one. Okay, the back one's a little bit harder to get at here, to squeeze the back side. Still not getting that back clip there. Okay, I'm gonna have to work on this a minute. Okay, I had to help use a screwdriver, so no coolant coming out here, but we got our lines loose. That's the worst of it. So we'll focus on these bolts here now. Okay, so I got my 10mm. We'll start taking this 10 out here. We've got a couple more. Kind of limited clearance down here on this lower one. I'll probably have to switch over to my little ratchet wrench. Alright, I'm going to get my little smaller ratchet over here and finish removing these. Now, this will probably be stuck, but I do expect some coolant come pouring out of here. Now I've seen people you know, replacing the whole housing, which those I guess are not too awfully expensive. I guess it includes the thermostat, but I don't really see any need in doing so if it's not messed up. Said the thermostat itself was, I think, about $16, and the little gaskets and stuff are kind of pricey. I think it was about the same price for the gasket. So but you know, you don't want to do all this work and not replace that gasket, because I can guarantee you that it will leak. If not right away, it will start leaking eventually. Alright, so I'm going to get these other two out here. Okay, now it goes without saying, this here is your longer bolt. Just kind of pay attention and don't stick the wrong one back. Okay, I'm getting this final bolt here. Now, if you're having a problem with, like, say, this big pipe leaking here, okay, and I can't pull that bolt out. They got an O-ring that you can put in there. This one appears to be fine, but we're going to go ahead and, let me see. I've got one more on the bottom, I think. It's a different, no, that's the transmission. Okay, it's just these three. Okay, there's a bolt over here on this bracket. Okay, so right here on the transmission, we got a 15. You see that bolt there? Now that's going through the transmission, but it's also holding this bracket, so we'll want to Loctite this back. Surprisingly, this is not very tight. I would expect it to have been much tighter than that. So I've got it loose there. We're just going to go ahead and finish. Okay, you can see that coolant. Let me show you here. Okay, you can see we do have coolant coming out over here now. It ain't just gushing out, but we do have coolant coming out. And I put another pan back there in the back to help catch that. So I'm just going to finish getting this bolt here. Okay, and here is the bolt that was on that bracket over there. So we've got this loose. We're going to take it out here and see what we can do. Okay, and you can see that this thing has just been seized shut there. And you can see how this is like melting. That's because it's getting really hot. See how it's all kind of distorted there. So this thing basically seized shut, and hence all the problems. Now some of them, you know, will actually fail in the open position, which is better, and keeps you from overheating your engine for sure. Here's the old gasket. Okay, I wasn't for sure what I was going to do here. It was under these tabs, and I pushed down with 2 screwdrivers and spun it to get it out of them clips. You see, this is solid. This is a part of the housing. So I pushed them down and I spun it to get it to turn loose there. Wow. So we'll go ahead and get our new thermostat here now. Okay, before we put the new one on, we're going to clean this up here. Get all this old stuff off. Get it wiped up. Just be careful, don't scratch or gouge this aluminum. Okay, I was wiping this up with some alcohol. There's my new gasket. Okay, so it'll only go one way. You can see the indentation there. I'm just going to mount it just like that. Now I'm just going to slip that back off a second. Now we got our new thermostat here. Let's see. Get the part number here. Well, it's a Duralast, and we're going to put it down in there. We got this piece of cardboard it comes with, and basically we're going to push down, and just a second. Okay, so it's not anything critical. We're just going to push it down, give it a twist. So in case you wonder what that was in there for. Okay, so now we just slip that back on. Okay, so now we're going to work on cleaning this up here a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna call that good. It's a lot better than it was. Okay, we got some Loctite here. Just kind of hold that gasket, and we'll make sure that we get the other ones lined up in that gasket as well. I mean, you can tell by looking around here where the gasket's at, and you just want to make sure that the bolt goes through the hole that it's supposed to and not mash it through the gasket. So you may have to adjust it as need be. Okay, so that went right into place there. Just got one more of that lower one there now. Okay, I got way ahead of myself. That bolt there actually has to go in first. I'm gonna have to take this one over here back off and see if I can even tilt it enough to get this even started, because there's not enough clearance here. And it looks like I'm going to take this one back out, because that has to go in because there's no clearance right here. Okay, so don't do what I did. Make sure you get that bolt on that bottom first, because there's no clearance. So we got Loctite. We're going to go ahead and snug them up. Before we get these completely snugged up, I want to go over here and make sure our bolt for the bracket over here is going to line up. Okay, we got our Loctite on it. Okay, and it appears to be threading in just fine without any difficulty. If I can get my torque wrench in here, I'm going to torque this to 35 foot-pounds. Okay, so we're going inch-pounds. It'll look like I'm going to get to that low one. I'm going to do it by feel. We got it set to 96 inch-pounds. Okay, so there's that one. Said I'm just going to go by feel because I can't get this down in there. The clearance is too low on that bottom one. And if you don't have an inch-pound torque wrench, just get a 1/4 inch ratchet and snug them up and call it good. It doesn't. The biggest thing is to not strip the threads to your engine here. Don't want to over tighten. So I'm just going to kind of gauge by the feel of it here and torque this lower one just with the ratchet wrench. Right. So we're going to call that good. If I can get my ratchet back off here. Okay, everything pretty easy from here. We just slide, make sure that clip is in alignment with the slot. So right here you see it's where the slot is, just make sure that's in alignment. That easy. Okay, so I'm getting ready to slip this hose. Now before I do that, we're going to put just a light dab, and I mean not very much, just a little bit. If you get too much, it might actually slip back off, because this is going to make it easier down the road. I'm just going to slip a little around this. That way that hose ain't sticking. And if it gives me any problems, I'll put a screw clamp on it. I ain't worried about it. So I'm just going to get that clamp back up there now. Okay, and that 15 back there on that brace, I just snugged that up with a wrench. It's a little bit too difficult to get my torque wrench in there. Okay, so now I got to get this air box back in here, and this is probably the hardest part of it, is getting it flipped the right way. So hopefully I can get it back in here. This thing's just really big and just quite difficult to get in here the way that it's put together. I got to get it basically twisted back the right way that I had it when I removed it. Popped this computer out of its clip here and moved it over too, by the way. Okay, it actually went back in easier than coming out. I snapped that cable back in there. I think we'll go ahead and get this bolt back in this corner over here first. And that's tight enough to hold a piece of plastic. Alright, we'll get this. Get that screwed back down. Okay, so I dropped one of the bolts, putting the air box back on, so I don't figure I'll ever find that. I heard it hit metal and land on the frame, so you know how that is. You don't ever find them again. Okay, I'm just getting ready to put this piece back in place. Okay, I had to hunt down a piece of this and cut it. Put a little piece of black tape on around that to get it to fit in a little bit tighter. This other end fits fine. We'll go ahead and tighten these up. And we're going to go ahead and refill our coolant. I really didn't drain probably not even a half a cup out because it was stopped up there. Okay, so we got these snugged up. Got that good vacuum leak there fixed. Get our wire. We need to get this little panel up here after we get it refilled. Okay, I had to actually use my strap wrench to get this cap loose. I don't know why on earth this thing's so tight, but it was no way coming off by hand. Alright, so we'll get this refilled. Okay, I got my little adapter on here. I'm going to get my tank. We'll get it filled up. Okay, I was talking about the misfire. It had a cylinder 5 misfire, which is at the back on the rear. This here is cylinder 6. So what I done was I got back there, and those are hard to get to back there, by the way. I swapped that one for this one, and deleted the code, and sure enough it popped up cylinder 6, so we know we've got a bad coil pack. Now you could, you know, replace your whole set, but it's much cheaper to order them, and it's, you know, it takes time to order things and wait on them. So we're just going to be replacing this one here. Now I believe they're supposed to all have safety locks. You push back, a red safety lock, but these are gone. So just push down right here really hard. Get in here. Sometimes you got to use a screwdriver, but I want to get these. I'm going to go ahead and replace this coil pack and put some new plugs on before I get to heating this thing up. And okay, it's not coming loose. Let me get my pick tool. It must be one of those broken clips. I run into this more often than not. You can take a pick tool and just get underneath, kind of push down at the same time if you'd like. It pops it right off there. Those things just get brittle and weak, and you just can't do anything with them. So we're going to pull. I'm going to go ahead and get that plug out of there too. I'm using like a 2.5 foot long extension here too, by the way. Just makes it a lot easier. Now these iridiums are pretty good, but they do get wore over time. And we're going to be putting some Bosch back on here. Alright, we'll just get this one down in here. We're going to torque these about 15 foot-pounds. Alright, now we're going to get our new coil pack on here, and it comes with its own little screw, and it's kind of made so it doesn't fall off of there. Just go ahead and snug that up. So between the vacuum leak, the bad coil pack, and then the whole thermostat issue, I think this is going to have this Acadia running pretty good. Alright, that's tight enough. Slip that on there. Make sure that it stays locked. Alright, we're just going to go ahead and do all the other spark plugs. The other coil packs are good though, and we should be ready to go ahead and get this thing fired up here pretty quick. Okay, so here's what we're using here. Okay, so I don't know what's going on with this thing, but I didn't drain out not even a cup of fluid, but I've put back 1.5 gallons at least so far. So it was way low. So we're going to go ahead and crank it up and see what's going to happen here. And it's definitely sounding a lot better. If you had heard it before with that mist that it had there from that coil pack, it was sounding pretty bad. And of course that vacuum leak over there wasn't helping matters either. And I think it did have a code for that too. So I'm going to just run it a little bit here and get it warmed up. We're going to check and make sure that the heater's working, that the hoses, the coolant's getting through, and just check it for leaks. It's definitely losing coolant somewhere for it to be that low. It's got a leak or something somewhere. So far I haven't seen anything. Okay, I'm just checking down here for leaks and stuff. Usually there's no problem with these gaskets here, but we're just giving a look over and making sure that none of our work here is leaking and everything looks good. Okay, so it's sounding real good, and so far I haven't spotted any leaks. I'm going to take it down the road. We got it topped off. I got the radiator cap back on. We're going to leave this piece out for a minute, and I'm just going to run it down the road and bring it back and see if I can find any leaks here. Okay, so took it down the road and it's running good. So far I do not see any leaks, so just have to be keeping an eye on that. The only thing I got left is to put the little piece back up on top that covers up the actual radiator cap there. But for now it's like it's running and sounding good. It's not getting hot, and everything, the coolant appears to be circulating really good, so I would say that's a fix. So anyways, that's going to do it for this video. If you found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to leave a comment, please do so. As always, I invite you to subscribe, and thanks for watching.